All right, welcome to the next video. We are now at the point where we can get into the nitty gritty. Are you ready? We're gonna look at tasks in Asana. So jump in with me. There's a lot of detail that we're gonna get into here. Hopefully it will really help you get the most out of tasks. Now, before we even get started, let me remind you what a good task is. At the very bare minimum, a task is who is doing what by when. Who is doing what by when. So every task should have an assignee, who is doing what, a good title and description, and when, a due date. If you do those three things, you've done what you need to do to make a great task, and that helps people collaborate. So I'm gonna invite you in to a task right now, and I'm actually gonna head into one of our planning series, and we're gonna look at a weekend. Here, let me pull you into the computer. Okay, so this is a lot of information here. I am gonna zoom in on just the task so that we can clarify what we're looking at here. So I just use those arrows to zoom in into the task. And right now, we are looking at week 2, joy, regrets, and we're doing communion. That's what those emojis stand for. Now let's find the who is doing what by when. Keith Smith is the who. Keith Smith is the one who is the communicator, so Pastor Keith will be doing that. What is he doing? He is speaking on joy versus regrets as part of our joy series. And when is he doing it? He's doing it this Sunday, okay? So we have all those tasks set there. Now, all those three essentials of a task set there. Now let's dive into some of the detail. Okay, let's start at the very top. Notice you can like a task. That's when something comes across, maybe you're in a project and you're set to get notifications. When you like the task, that means you've seen it. Maybe you're just giving them encouragement. Keep it up. You can add attachments, and note you can actually add stuff from Google Drive, which is really helpful because that's the other major environment that we work out of. Excuse me. You might also notice that there's subtasks. We'll get to those when we get to the bottom of this task because this one does have some. And finally, this has copy the task link. This helps you link this task in other places. I often will paste this into Planning Center. So when we're looking at the Planning Center plan, we can jump right into Asana to see the details without having to hunt it down. The 3 dots, there's a whole bunch of detailed actions here we won't get into today. And this X will just take me out of the zoomed in view. Okay, so let's look at the top section, this header. We've got the title, the assignee, the due date. Next, we have the projects. So this is part of the Joy series, and it's in the section Weekend Details. We'll get into that when we talk about projects, but I can add it to multiple projects. This is called multi-homing and is one of the coolest features possible. So maybe this is part of the Joy series, but I also want this to be visible to everybody who is in the gathering planning team. So I'm gonna put this under gathering planning meeting, and it gives us a chance to add it to that conversation as well, which is a meeting agenda. So I actually don't need that, so I'm gonna remove it, but that would be a way to multi-home something, okay? We're not gonna get into dependencies. You can search for that or message me if you need anything. Let's get into the description. I mentioned who is doing what by when. That what section, if the title doesn't have enough space for you to put the what in detail, it needs to be in the description. And this is often where you want to take detailed notes. Note that this is a rich text environment. Even if you can either, like it says here, type the slash, I don't know if it's a backslash or forward slash, I forget. And it'll give you a whole list of things that you can add there, even including a section break, which is pretty cool. But it also allows you to add headers and a whole bunch of other things, much like what is listed here at the bottom as well. You can see that you can even grab chunks of text and move them around. Whoa. Okay, took a minute to come back to where I was. But you can see here, this is where we've collaborated a ton. Really cool feature I wanna mention, the @ symbol. As soon as you type @ you can mention a teammate or a link to a task, project, or message. I'm gonna start typing communion, and you can see all of a sudden, all the communion tasks start popping up. Now, I'm looking for communion in March 2023. You can see it's listed right there. But I could even search, even if I don't know, even if I don't mention it perfectly, if I have some of the elements that are in it, it will help me find it. And you can see here, it's listed as a subtask of this major task, which also just helps you filter it. This is so powerful, so cool. It's a great tool. You can even mention people. So if I wanted to put, mention something to Keith, you can see his name would come up right there, and he would be tagged in that right there. Now I'm gonna delete that. Hopefully that didn't send him a notification. But you can see all the ways that we collaborate on this. Here's a couple other tagged tasks. And we're getting to the bottom now. So that's the whole description, this whole section here. Excuse me. And now at the bottom, we've got to the subtasks. So these are subtasks, and they're best used when you have multiple collaborators within a task. So these are steps to get to this weekend. So they are definitely related to this weekend. We want them to be tied in and subtasks of this weekend, but we also want them to be assignable to multiple people. If it was all for me, then maybe it would just be listed in the description, right? But if you want to break something down into steps, you can do that as well. Below that, you can see kind of like the metadata, like all the different updates that this task has gone through. So I'm going to just click this show 13 previous updates, and you can see Hannah's done a lot of work on this. She's the one that initiated it, and she added a whole bunch of description changes and everything. You can even show the original description, etc. And then all the way down to the bottom where it shows that there were some reassignments and even me making the changes that I made just now or earlier today, actually. And finally, at the bottom, comments. Now, I'm just going to comment for an example here. So I'm going to type example. You're going to see that all those comments will show up in the bottom. And there's a chance for us to even communicate by hitting a like directly on the comment. Now, everyone who's part of this task is going to get a notification in their inbox, and they can even like it from their inbox. So it's a pretty cool way of interacting right from there. Now, I don't want people to get notifications, so I'm going to delete that comment. Now, you might be asking, how do I know who's going to be getting notifications? Right down here, you can see the collaborators, and we see that myself, Pastor Jonathan, Pastor Jessica, and Pastor Keith are going to be the people who get the notifications for this. Now, what if you don't want to get notifications? Maybe you started this task, and now that it's not on your plate anymore, you don't want to be hearing every time someone comments on it. You can actually leave the task on the bottom right. And that, in a nutshell, is an overview of tasks. And so this is where we get our nitty-gritty work done. I hope that was a helpful overview for you. I hope that was a helpful overview for you. Let's jump into the projects in the next video.